out of Iowa. Here is the MVP. Offense turned it over 25 times. Indiana losing by 21. Ionescu catch and shoot as Jones steps into a
point performance right here, handling the fish. She's going to be targeted by every
times. New York's had some a WNBA record with those. It'll fall on it, finds its way to Clark. Extra. Ionescu will fire away.
Already tonight than they did against.
As Stewart works her way in, struggling to rebound.
Well,
Grondello in her third year in New York.
For some of those new fans to the game, Pat.
Muscles her way inside. This will be a fun match of the year. Her last 3 seasons. Second most points she scored with the Liberty. In that run to the final. Go her way here in the early going tonight. Smith on the left block.
It's a really good shot blocking front line. Try to tack on some fouls.
She'll drive on Clark, hit the deck. This Indiana offense last year in the home opener.
With the physicality of Connecticut, they're so good.
Good ball movement. Samuelson's open. Jones around the perimeter as Stewart touching a lot in the opener. Stewart only had
show out, and for me, I love it coming here.
Smith with the crossover off balance. Jones from the foul line.
Offense defense. New York is too efficient.
That ankle injury still not 100%. Gets inside, spins it over to Boston. This jump forward, the second-year pro Aaliyah Boston. Leading the Indiana Fever. Just minutes with the Liberty. Here's Ionescu. Everything but the layup. Smith the rebound. Puts it up too strong. Offensive rebound. Points for Boston as Stewart the other way.
The step-up screen gets the swing. You got to get by her.
And here turns the corner on Stewart. And now 2019. Ionescu finds.
For Sabrina.
Clark, step back 3. That first 3-pointer is Lainey Hamilton. 15 from the field. Cross-court pass. Samuelson a corner 3. Here's Stewart on a step back. More that she scored on Tuesday. Hamilton pre-COVID and had a stand. She was a huge part of that.
Comes Pat.
Stewart contested look. The assists in Indiana. Casper, I'm Pat Boylan. And here is Boykic. Wheeler, kick out. Here's Lexi Hull.
She picked up 2 quick fouls in the first.
That might be a first. Clark finds some space. Kennedy Burke, a former.
Erica Wheeler on the top of the floor. Kelsey.
That's a tough look. And Wheeler around. Melissa Smith through traffic and draws. That is it. Burke gets around Smith to the rim and a nice.
If you notice.
Driving into Ionescu, using the other. Ionescu from the mid-range. Whole corner 3. She
only a quarter into this action, already
calling it that all year. Their venues win tickets because there's a demand. Will change the way they look at women's sport. 5 players in this league have 47. We're first team. Should be grateful that somebody like Caitlin
denied as Mitchell gets inside. That are so talented, so entertaining. Here's Wallace off balance.
Strong with Christy Wallace, Telly, but part of the Opals.
Friendly?
No.
This Fever bench is. Jones Boston take advantage of it. Ionescu off balance.
Nail with Kelsey Mitchell.
Anderson. Jones high-low. It's Stewart.
Smaller lineup. Katie Lou Samuelson.
Everything running through Stewart so far. A 9-point lead back. They've led by Boston on Jones. Boston ducks it. Ionescu leaves it back for Stewart or launch it.
He's a good screener. She can.
WNBA 5 years later. And here is Lainey Hamilton, the step. Liberty really protecting
everyone else to be MVP of the league
against Indiana. Let's see if Caitlin Clark can't catch. Samuelson mid-range shot.
Carly, I watched that game. Carly saying
down the stretch, a near upset in Washington. Bentley called for the to send John Quill Jones to the foul against Washington, and New York needed every.
Let her go to work.
Jones pulls down
for the chemistry on the offensive end.
Sees the double team, leans in. A 3. Bounce pass. There's Boston. So many assists. Boston the patience. And
than that. It's a great find by Caitlin.
Stewart driving into fact. Bentley off balance. Bonus
for New York.
Stewart looking to put the finishing touches on a championship this year. This little scoop shot leaves it short. Boston. As number 17, Erica Will. Samuelson, deep position, lays it.
Has to be good.
A trend your teams have is it was Clark who got the hand in there. At least right now.
She has 4.
Got into a little foul trouble in Connecticut.
Defending Katie Lou on that.
Knocked down their first 2 shots of the third quarter. Inside for Stewart.
Clark on that.
See Clark up top. Samuelson. Smith doesn't get it off in time. Vandersloot drives on Clark, puts on the break. Driving it back at Jones, and a bank shot. Indiana. Austin comes up with a stop on the night here so far for Indiana. Hamilton spinning, fading, fire.
New York.
Stewart fading, fire.
Time she was the MVP of
Two-point effort. Here's Stewart.
up the gut to get open.
Fever really tested here in the Europe. Laney fires inside. There's Jones. To find space here on the offense.
Here's a point I want to make for the work.
Mitchell catch and shoot. Short extra pass. Vandersloot.
He said not quite, but we'll get it. Be hard to get a bunch of new players.
Way off the mark on a three, but it's
impossible.
19 on second chance points as Laney came back to Indiana to start last season. I think every point guard
we had not seen, and there is
Bentley into a double team, and I think a pretty effective 12 minutes.
We're seeing what she can do when she stays on the field.
To see Caitlin Clark for that signature moment here in Indianapolis. Ionescu, a deep three.
To Lisa's left, who will be the new.
Mitchell drive it into a triple team, gets it looking her way for years, and all of a sudden.
When you can make plays.
And Mitchell not. Ionescu driving into Wheeler off back. Clark on the drive, gets inside.
Here's a difference for Caitlin Clark. The speed of the game, that's an example.
And Clark. And Fag Bentley. Rookie out of Germany getting her first. Vandersloot left alone. Points on 3 shots here tonight. Clark, step back 3.
Back-to-back national.
The crowd on their feet. Feed
Anticipation or the expectation transform it.
And Berger is fouled by
Berger to attack a quick.
You've got vision like that. There's a 9-second differential. The size advantage on Mitchell. Leaves it.
Everybody sprint. Let's run this.
Bounces in.
Smith saying after their second shots open for everyone else. So even if
we know Kelsey, she can impact it more as she can.
Smith's been quiet tonight. Wide open. That corner look. Stewart's fouled.
Acrobatic finish by Stewart.
Pass to Boston, who waits. Jonquel Jones is home free. Wheeler sets up Clark.
New York has been an issue on the front line for
Opened up here with the first 7 points of the quarter.
To force.
She'll be done. Ionescu launches and
games last year. New York was one of them.
Fever do last year an overtime loss as Clark. Indiana looking at a similar tap. Jones, beautiful find. Ionescu the 4th quarter. And right back inside. Jonquel Jones, the MVP in 2020.
Against 2 of the top 3 teams.
3 posts for Smith.
Your teammates, you're going to learn a lot about yourself on Tuesday night with a back-to-back. And for Phoenix, Diana right now, but I thought Phoenix
week 5 of 7 offensive themselves out.
Yeah, it's going to take some time. In the timing, the rhythm of your offense, and it takes some time for that to happen.
Katie Lou Samuelson, Smith driving the bait. Has to hoist. Smith pulled it down. Took 16 more shots than Indy here tonight. And they've been at their typical level. And Boston.
Season went on last year.
As Vandersloot finds some speed. Not be a success type of game for Clark in Connecticut.
You need to know how Stewart, the reigning MVP of the league.
What a night for the Liberty here from Indianapolis as Berger off balance leaves it short. Offensive rebound.
They should, right? Come to
10. They went toe-to-toe for large portions of her Iowa.
Here in the 4th quarter. Indiana never. Clark will.
11 points in the second half. She had 20 points on a night where everyone was rookie. As Thornton,
you were a college player, and I think
another corner.
Sideline out of bounds, baseline out of.
Saxton steps into a see. You just see them.
Right, they have won at the highest elite level athletes.
Like they were at the beginning of last season.
Tails for Indiana with a young.
Much bigger picture here. Survey, there was one unanimous answer. As Doik into triple digits. Down to 11 after the 66.
You're doing a much better job, Pat, that time defending Katie Lou on that.
Wheeler with 4 points. Indiana's knocked down their first 2 shots of the third quarter. Smith hounding Vandersloot. Inside for Stewart.
Playing in space. Foul. She was trailing Caitlin Clark on that.
Wheeler looking inside. And see Clark up top. Samuelson back out to Wheeler. Shot clock down to 1. Smith doesn't get it off in time. Vandersloot drives on Clark, puts on the break. End. Austin driving it back at Jones and a bank shot. She's starting to get going a little bit for Indiana. Austin comes up with a stop on the lid. It's been that kind of night here so far for Indiana. Laney Hamilton spinning, fading, fighting.
New York
Second chance points here tonight. Stewart fading, fire.
Championships at UConn. 4 times she was the MVP.
Games against the Fever last year, including a 42-point effort. Here's Stewart.
This off, and Clark is cutting up the gut to get open.
The Fever really tested here in the Euro. Laney fires inside. There's Jones.
6'6", wide open at the rim.
Point opener. She struggled to find space here on the.
Well, I think for Indiana to get back in this, here's a point I want to make for the defense and try to get some of your actions to work.
Mitchell catch and shoot. Deflected. Jones pulls it down. Stewart extra pass. Vandersloot.
Change of pace, the speed, the cuts. She said not quite, but we'll get it. And she's saying we don't have the timing down right. It'd be hard to get a bunch of new players.
Baskets lately. Laney Hamilton way off the mark on a 3, but it's
everything. She scored in every way possible.
They've outscored Indiana by 16 on second chance points as Laney.
Erica Wheeler.
Wheeler, who came back to Indiana to start last season wing. Something I think every point guard play offensively.
That's a new set though we had not seen, and there is.
Back Bentley into a double team, and NBA. He's had, I think, a pretty effective 12 minutes.
It was quick, and now we're seeing what she can do when she stays on the floor.
We'll take a breather here. For so many to see Caitlin Clark still looking for that signature moment here in Indianapolis.
It's not good for Caitlin.
Ionescu, a deep 3.
Jan Jensen sitting to Lisa's left, who will be the new.
Mitchell drive it into a triple team, gets it. Has had almost all the attention looking her way for years, and all of a
I
sudden.
think she's going to have additional space to operate in. When you can make plays, going to open up the floor.
And Mitchell not
Top of the floor.
Ionescu driving into Wheeler off back.
The 3-point line is Sabrina.
Where they are up by 20. Clark on the drive, gets inside.
You know, here's a difference for Caitlin Clark. Shoulders past somebody, you can score, but the speed of the game, that's an exams the corner.
And Clark, there's Fag-Benley into the passing lane. And Fag-Benley, Leonie Fiebisch, rookie out of Germany, getting her first. Vandersloot left alone. 2 points on 3 shots here tonight. Clark, step back 3.
None of that in my day. Back-to-back national.
In Indianapolis, as the crowd on their feet. Fiebisch going here, draws the foul.
Is it the anticipation or the expectation, especially with everything that she has helped the league transform into here?
So the pass, swing at Berger, and Berger is fouled by.
Extra rotation allows Grace Berger to attack a quick
Speed and the athleticism, Debbie, but when you've got vision like that, 11 here, and they do get the 2 for 1. There's a 9-second differential. Laney Hamilton has the size advantage on Mitchell, leaves it.
Caitlin Clark right there, hold it up. Everybody sprint. Let's run this.
Clark bounces in.
Inmates have quickly caught off on Melissa Smith, saying after their second they're paying attention to Caitlin. That leaves open shots open for everyone else. So even this one to go along with her 9 points.
We know, Kelsey, she can impact it for her as her time gets more, as she can.
3-point deficit down to 11. Smith's been quiet tonight. Laney Hamilton wide open. That corner. No look. Stewart fouled.
What an acrobatic finish by Stewart.
Loop shot clock down to 7. Entry pass to Boston, who waits. Inside, Jonquel Jones is home free.
Immediately.
Wheeler sets up Clark. Oh.
Well, the length of New York has been an issue on the front line for
Liberty have opened up here with the first 7 points of the quarter.
nice design by Sandy Brondello to force
For 5th. One more, she'll be done. Ionescu launches and
Only 2 teams won 30 or more games last year. New York was one of them. Over above 500 last year.
Beavers do have accomplishments last year, an overtime loss as in the extra session. Indiana looking at a similar task. Jones, beautiful find. Ionescu 12 points to start the 4th quarter. As Smith Hamilton switch on to Smith, and right back inside. Stewart's won a pair of MVPs. Jonquel Jones, the MVP in 20. Cattle in Vegas coming up.
The first 4 games are against 2 of the top 3 teams.
3 posts for Smith.
You're going to learn a lot about your teammates. You're going to learn a lot about your. I had Phoenix at Vegas on Tuesday night with the back-to-back figures and break off a play at any time. And for Phoenix, Diana with a toe injury, so she's not available right now. But I thought Phoenix.
Beaver will go to Vegas late next week. 5 of 6 here as Laney Hamilton misses. Offensive group that's still trying to figure themselves out.
Yeah, it's going to take some time. Well, you know, there's a chemistry part in the timing, the rhythm of your offense to come together. And it takes some time for that to happen.
Beaver with numerous new players. Katie Lou Samuelson, semi-fed 100% health to start the year. Smith driving the base.
On that top foot. Everything.
Shot clock down to 2. Wheeler has to hoist. Smith pulled it down. And Connecticut took 16 more shots than Indy, taking 13 more shots than the Fever have here tonight. And they're 2 where the Liberty haven't been at their typical level. Underneath, the switch on to Burke. And Boston.
We made a significant improvement as the season went on last year.
15 wins. As Vandersloot finds some spins the goal. Anything less would not be a success story, albeit a different type of game for Clark in Connecticut. Caitlin Clark is just a rookie.
And with the new eyes coming to the league, you need to know how. Offensive performance by Breanna Stewart, the reigning MVP of the league.
What a night for the MVP. What a night for the Liberty. Just a nearly flawless performance here from Indianapolis as Berger off balance. 2nd year in the WNBA as Dojkic leaves it short. Offensive rebound.
Well, they should, right? Comes
2 of the top point guards in the Big Ten. They went toe-to-toe. It's a fan base that didn't like her all that much for large portions of her Iowa.
Cut it to 11, and they went on that late run here in the 4th quarter. Indiana never takes some time, and certainly Caitlin Clark will.
Beaver never got closer than 11 points in the 2nd half. It was a similar story in Connecticut. She had 20 points on a night where everyone was off night. She's impactful, even as a rookie. As
The same volume of shots that you got when you were a college player, and I think.
But as the season continues, another corner.
Be good in those aspects of the game. Sideline out of bounds, baseline out of ball, called set.
Saxton steps into it. They had the 2nd best offensive efficiency. You just see them. Anna Stewart's.
That's a core group that knows how to win, right? They have won at the highest because there are highly competitive, elite level athletes.
Are they not figuring out the chemistry like they were at the beginning of last season, 2024?
Larger details for Indiana with a young.
Didn't go the way the Fever wanted it to. A much bigger picture here. In the annual GM survey, there was one unanimous answer. 100% Indiana Fever. As New York into triple digits. Fever had cut the deficit down to 11 after Liberty winning 102 to 66.